know you don't have to lie to me. Don't fill your head with things and think you're free. I can smell the fear, I think you made it clear. Yeah, I could be rude, be in the mood, I could be rotten. I could be cool, mind like a fool, but never forgotten. Creeping in the dark, waiting for you. You won't like what you see. Yeah, I feel like a monster, and I'm just here to haunt you.
Is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, it doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you know that truer words have never been said. It has never mattered who the host is. What matters always is who the listeners are. You know that already. Anyways, how are you as we are hanging out already on this Tuesday? We are broadcasting from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Yeah, I'm kind of locked up in a back room in a corner. That's kind of the way that it's been working out in regards of getting all this stuff set up and going. So hopefully you are having a grandioso Tuesday already. So as we are broadcasting, we are hanging and banging here on Safety FM, but we are also hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place.
Warning, listening to other radio stations could cause testicle shrinkage.
I'm talking the truth.
So how has the last 24 hours been for you since we last were able to hang out and do our thing together? Because I'm always curious about that. I'm always wanting to know what's going on in your lifetime. Don't ever doubt that, because it is serious business as you and I get to hang out and talk. So with that being said, let's start talking immediately of what the hell we have going on today. Before I forget, it is Tuesday, March the 7th of 2023. Day 66 of the year, and only 299 to go. So you already know, if that 3 is already gone, we're already in trouble, because the countdown to extinction has already started. Let's talk about what's going to be trending today.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, yes. And then if you are wondering and asking, and if you're hanging out on the video side of this little lovely program, yes, there is no proper video based on where I'm located, because I don't think you really want to see what I have going on in the area where I am located. And that's okay. That's okay. So you have the options of taking a listen to us on radiobig.fm, or you can take a listen to us on safetyfm.com, however you want to do, or your favorite video platform that technically at this particular moment in time has no video. So let's talk about what's going on. SBF wants to get online, and Amazon downsizes is an in-person shopping experience. We can talk a little bit more about that in the shit list. Also, the First Lady says that she has evidence that you need for your husband's mental fitness is laid bare every day, and we don't think that we meant that to be hurtful. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. Pete Davidson and Chase Sue Wonders to get into a wreck in Beverly Hills, and Shaka Khan apologized for criticizing Rolling Stone's greatest singers list. We'll talk a little bit about that. Lionel Messi is working on a new animated series. The Last of Us draws a record number of viewers, so we can talk all about that stuff if you're so inclined of hanging out and taking a listen to all that stuff. So if you're not familiar with our show, it's kind of a simple process on how we do the things that we do around here. We talk about safety in the news and safety. So it's a little combination of both things. We talk about what is going on inside of the world. This way you can actually stay up to date with what is practical inside of the world of the news. That way you can tie it into what is going on into your safety world, because you want topical applications to talk about, not just go in there and be like, hey, let me spew a whole bunch of safety stuff and lay it out there on the line. So let's do this today if you're so inclined. As you are taking a listen, apply some of these things. If you want to interact with the show, it's easy to do so. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's callinradio.com, and that will get everything moving and grooving for you. Because why would you not want to be moving and grooving as we are doing all the fun stuff that we get to do? That is for sure. I mean, I look at it and go, of course I want to be moving and grooving, opposed to it just being the typical stuff. So the professional broadcasters that come in and will take care of you, I'll make sure that they are on par with what you're looking for, because that's always kind of a crucial portion here. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and jump into the news?
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. The man tasked with bringing down inflation is in the hot seat today. More from Lisa Taylor.
Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell will face questions on Capitol Hill about whether the continued rise in interest rates is working to bring inflation down. Recent data shows a mixed bag of results. With more hikes, it will be costlier for Americans to buy a home, a car, and most credit card balances will increase.
Mexico's president says 4 Americans kidnapped at gunpoint in Matamoros had traveled there last week to buy medicine. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador commented on the kidnapping yesterday, saying the group was caught in the crossfire between 2 armed groups before they were taken away at gunpoint. U.S. Ambassador to Mexico Ken Salazar issued a statement yesterday noting that the FBI and other agencies are working with Mexican authorities to have the group safely returned. A $50,000 reward is being offered for information in the case. Terrorism charges are being brought against almost 24 people in Atlanta. Charges are in connection with a violent outbreak at the future site of the city's controversial new public safety training center. Blaine Alexander reports tensions have been high for a while.
This is the latest flashpoint in a fight that has stretched well over a year. In January, a protester was killed, a Georgia State Patrol trooper injured. Protesters say that this is just the start of a week of demonstrations.
The FBI is also looking into possible federal charges. An incident involving 2 aircraft clipping wings at Boston's Logan International Airport yesterday is being looked into by the FAA. United Flight 515 headed to Newark, New Jersey, and United Flight 267 bound for Denver, Colorado were almost canceled as a result. No injuries were reported. Texans could have the chance to vote on whether or not the state should leave the United States. A Republican state representative filed a bill yesterday known as the Texit Referendum Act, which would put the issue before voters in November of this year. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
From FSN in London, I'm Nina Maria Potts with the latest world headlines. China's new Foreign Minister Qin Gang has slammed Washington over its policy towards Taiwan, while saying Beijing's relationship with Moscow will only go from strength to strength. In the UK, a new law is being introduced that seeks to remove anyone who enters the country illegally permanently. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has pledged to defend Bakhmut despite rumors of a retreat from the besieged city.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
A South Carolina woman is charged with allegedly having an unlawful abortion. In 2021, the woman told staff she took abortion medication when she was almost 26 weeks pregnant, which is past the legal limit of 20 weeks in the state. She was arrested last week and faces up to 2 years in prison if convicted. Former Vice President Mike Pence is asking a judge to block a federal grand jury subpoena for his testimony about the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol in 2021. Brian Shook reports.
CNN reports his legal team filed the motion late last week. It argues that Pence is protected by a clause in the Constitution. The former VP previously signaled that he planned to resist the subpoena, saying it was unconstitutional and unprecedented. I'm Brian Shook.
All eyes are on Florida's governor, who is rumored to be announcing his presidential run at the end of this session. Barry University's Sean Foreman expects Ron DeSantis to use his State of the State to lay out his agenda before making his bid official.
I think DeSantis is really enjoying this attention while keeping everyone guessing. So we can expect that he'll keep playing that game, make it sound like he's running for president at the same time that he lays out his agenda for the state of Florida.
DeSantis is expected to focus on expanding the so-called Don't Say Gay law, pushing back the limit on abortion from 15 weeks to just 6, and allowing open carry without registration. The U.S. military wants a San Diego-based company to develop a drone for air-to-air combat. More from Phil Farrar.
The Defense Department has chosen Poway-based General Atomics to develop a sophisticated new drone that can be used for air-to-air combat. According to the Times of San Diego, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency funding the Longshot program to produce an unmanned vehicle that can be launched from a bomber and engage enemy aircraft all on its own. The next step in this program is to develop detailed designs for ground and wind tunnel tests.
Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have anybody to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
In order to save the planet from cow farts, why doesn't someone just invent really large Gas X pills?
God, what's that awful stench? Radio.
Here is another bit for our competitors to copy. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, we're still hanging and banging. 15 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are doing this thing live from Santa Fe, New Mexico, as we are hanging out on this fantastic Tuesday. I should always say terrific Tuesday because it is with a T. So there you go. Anyway, so let's get into the shit list right away about what is going on inside of the world. So take a listen to this. Anthony Fauci personally commissioned the study that he cited that just weeks later suggested there is minimal evidence of COVID originated from the Chinese lab in Wuhan. The revelation comes in new emails that were subpoenaed by Congress during the pandemic origins. Fauci held a call with the 4 authors of the paper just days before it was published on a fast track, and then he mentioned that the paper during the White House briefing, and he acted like he didn't know that who the authors were. So there you go. So worth noting, as evidence continues to mount about the COVID was leaked from a lab in Wuhan, what was it that was being hidden? So maybe that's the question to ask. I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing when you start taking a look at it in regards of the theories and the things that were going on at the time, and then all of a sudden the things that you're seeing now. So there's so many questions that people will have on what is happening.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so take a listen to this. While Sam Bankman-Fried awaits trial for the fraud and the money laundering charges connected to the collapse of FTX, he is not allowed anywhere near the internet and certainly not to communicate with potential witnesses. As the tech nerd, he wants to change that. His attorneys have filed a request that he allowed to have access to select websites on a specially configured laptop, including Amazon mainstream news and niche crypto blogs, even Uber Eats and DoorDash, plus some sports sites, as well as resources to help him do legal research. Meanwhile, since he's living in with his folks, there's computers and also have special software installed so that the feds can monitor internet activity and access the webcams with their laptops that are to ensure that SBF isn't sneaking around past restrictions. So hold on. This guy was able to pull off, allegedly, a multi-billion-dollar scam, but he's not going to be able to skedaddle around software in regards of what is going on with computer systems. I mean, I don't know. I think we need to ask that question once again in regards to what is going on. So there you go. Anyways, Amazon is shutting down 8 of its 20 Amazon Go shops where shoppers check in using Amazon accounts and in a complex system of cameras and scanners identifying how to buy their items. So there is no need to check out before leaving. Amazon just deducts the cost of the haul from your buyer's account. The company says that it isn't necessarily a failure for the high-tech model, but that they intend to open more stores in the future. Meanwhile, amid massive recession layoffs, Amazon also says that pausing part of the construction of its secondary headquarters in Virginia, close to Washington, D.C., it is moving forward with some of the new office space, but putting the construction on the tall glass building called the Helix on hold. So there you go. Meanwhile, in the Netherlands, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos' massive $500 million sailing yacht has been spotted in the open water. So interesting stuff there for sure. So I don't know, a lot of stuff going on, inside of that world.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, so there you go. There's voluminous recordings of voice available, say, on a daily radio show throughout podcasts, and criminals have found a new way to scam your loved ones. The Washington Post reports that there is a new fraud criminal upload audio files to someone's voice, and readily available artificial intelligence software and can make the sounds like the person's voice to say anything. In many cases, they'll use the technology to call a person's family members, asking them to send money because to get them out of trouble. The Federal Trade Commission reported more than 5,000 phone-related scams this year, and it gets worse. One of the analysts says that the technology can be synchronized or synthesized with a voice based on about 30 seconds of a TikTok clip, and get more samples of the technology that can draw the more accurate artificial intelligence that will be available. So what do you think about it? Now, listen, I don't know. When we started this thing many, many, many moons ago, I took a whole episode and actually used an artificial intelligence and had it actually do the whole recording for me. And I sat there and I was amazed at the time, I think I had to give it like 8 hours worth of content, which was not very difficult to do. And it was able to take my voice and do a whole episode. It's in our back catalog if you want to take a listen to it. And yeah, of course, I mean, once I tell you that it's there are some nuances that you can tell that it's not me. But it was just amazing just seeing on how that tech was. And that was probably about close to 2 years ago. So who knows what it can do nowadays in regards to the things that are going on with it. That is for sure. So what do you think? What do you think about this tech and it doing the things that it does? Do you get scared, or does it make you kind of go, We'll see what happens. Anyways, a few jurors in the Alex Murdaugh trial are speaking out about the now disgraced attorney that has been convicted of murdering his wife and son. On the Today Show on Monday, 3 jurors said the testimony backfired and that his crying came off as insincere. Analysts have said that Murdaugh was trying to sow enough reasonable doubt with the jurors, but obviously it didn't do the job. The panel of his peers delivered their guilty verdict last week in just a matter of hours. So, interesting stuff for sure as we are talking. Anyways, let's talk about the music charts, the top 5 songs on Apple Music and on Spotify. Coming in at number 5, well, I'll just put it to you this way. 5-1 on Apple Music, they're all Morgan Wallen. And number 5 is Everything I Love. At number 4 is Think About Me. At number 3, Man Made a Bar. At number 2, Ain't That Some. And at number 1, Last Night. So all Morgan Wallen songs on the top 5 on Apple Music. If you take a look at the other side of the equation, taking a look at Spotify, it goes something like this. At number 5, Pink Panthers and Ice Spice with Boys Are Liars Part 2. With number 4 is Zod with Kill Bill. And number 3, Karol G and Shakira with TQG. At number 2, The Weeknd and Ariana Grande, Die For You, the remix. And at number 1 again, Miley Cyrus with Flowers. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on right there. Anyways, it's that time for us to do this thing that we should do. Let's bring some John Smalls inside of here and let him tell us about what the hell is going on with the market beat.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Tuesday, March 7th, brought to you by GenesisGoldIRA.com. Equity markets tried to extend last week's rally Monday, but early gains faded by the afternoon, leaving the S&P 500 flat for the day. The move was driven by hopes the economy has seen the worst of inflation and interest rates, offset by the reality that inflation is still hot and the FOMC is still on pace to hike rates. The latest data from the CME suggests another 50 basis point hike will not be coming, but that the peak of interest rates could be above 5.5%. This has the average 30-year mortgage rate hovering around 7.4%, near the highest levels in over 20 years. At this level, mortgage demand is in quick retreat and has the analysts downgrading the home building sector. Later this week, the NFP report will move the market. The pace of employment is expected to slow near 200,000, which is still a healthy figure. The questions that need to be answered are about unemployment, wages, and revisions to the previous month. The crucial data will be wage data. You can get the inside track at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for that information right there, because you're always bringing us the greatest and the latest of what is going on. So let's not have any doubts about that information. Let me tell you what I was able to find on my side of the equation. It goes something like this. The Dow added about 40 points to close at 33,431. The S&P added just about 2 points to close at 4,000. 48, and the NASDAQ lost about 13 points to close at 11,675. West Texas Intermediate closed at about $80 a barrel, and Brent crude was just about $86 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.40 on Monday, and Bitcoin was close to flat on Monday with $22,400 at trading. And there was about 3,050 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Monday, and about 94 cancellations. So there you go. Tonight's Mega Million drawing will be for a $188 million jackpot or a $95.7 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, you still have time to do so. So let's talk about that, I guess. That is for sure. Take a listen to this real quick. Coming out of South Florida, animal shelter is facing an outbreak of highly contagious and life-threatening bacteria. Natalie Rodriguez has more.
It's called Streptococcus zoepidemicus.
Dogs that have this disease experience fever, lethargy, and then respiratory signs such as nasal discharge, and sometimes it comes with blood, sneezing, sometimes with blood.
Maria Serrano, veterinarian at the shelter at Miami-Dade Animal Services in the city of Doral, says 2 dogs have died so far, so they are rushing to treat the rest of the dogs with antibiotics, making them safe to foster or adopt. Because of the outbreak, however, some public services have been suspended, such as an on-site wellness clinic that focuses on spaying, neutering, and vaccination services. Natalie Rodriguez, Miami.
Okay, thank you, Natalie Rodriguez, for that information right there. So I guess be on the lookout for what is going on with your pet, especially after hearing that. Anyways, when it's cold and you find yourself reaching for the comfort carbs, there's a science behind that. Bree Tennis has more.
Nutritional psychiatry says when the temperature drops, our bodies crave carbs. That's because carbs are mood and energy boosters. It's a way to self-medicate feelings of happiness. And in the cold winter months, we need that boost. Consumption of breads, cakes, cookies, and pasta all go up in the winter. So what's on the menu when it's cold? Food and Wine magazine says chili's the #1 go-to in this country, followed by soup and gooey mac and cheese. Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
Why does it have to be gooey mac and cheese? Why can't it just be mac and cheese? Kind of a weird one there, but hey, whatever works. Anyways, take a listen to this. A new study says that nice people aren't very good at saving money. Michael Kastner reports.
Nice people with nice manners, but got no money at all.
Researchers at Columbia University found people who are more agreeable are the least likely to save money because they prioritize hanging out with people over material wealth. On the other hand, highly conscientious people might be more motivated to plan for the future and put more money away regularly. The study found that Americans save only 2.3% of their income. That's the lowest in nearly 2 decades. I'm Michael Kastner.
Okay, thank you, Michael Kastner, for that information right there as we are talking. Anyways, take a listen to this. The federal government reportedly is ready to block JetBlue's $3.8 billion merger with Spirit Airlines. Michael Kastner has more.
There are reports that the Justice Department could file an antitrust lawsuit against the deal as soon as today. JetBlue CEO Robin Hayes told the Wall Street Journal on Monday that he expects the companies to get sued by the DOJ this week. A JetBlue spokesperson said the airline is still hoping to close the acquisition early next year. I'm Michael Kastner.
So there you go. So JetBlue and good old Spirit does not look like it might be happening after all when it's all said and done. Anyways, take a listen to this. This one's coming out of Santa Ana, California. A black woman is protesting against the Santa Ana United School District, claiming that officials didn't do enough to protect her daughter, And the woman says that her 10-year-old daughter, formerly a 5th grader at Santiago Elementary School, was targeted by racist bullying by students last Wednesday.
The little boy came up to her, swinging a jump rope, trying to hit her with the jump rope, telling her, "Get back to work, you slave."
The woman was since then pulled her daughter out of the school, but led to demonstrations outside of the campus on Monday. She accused the school officials of sweeping the incident under the rug. The woman says that she that isn't ready to forgive the school or the school district.
I'm shocked and I'm hurt beyond the situation. And well, my daughter's going to need lifelong therapy for this, for what happened to her, and it's just a really sad situation.
Terrible to hear this outcome of actually what was going on inside of there. There is no doubt about that. The Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris is set to reopen for visitors on December of 2024, more than 5 years after the fire that nearly destroyed the famous church. Mark Mayfield has more info.
Work has been ongoing to rebuild the cathedral exactly as it was before, including the iconic spire. Completion of the restoration and reconstruction is set for 2027. Construction on the cathedral originally began in 1163 and took more than 180 years. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, thank you, Mark, for that one. Take a listen to this because, we had to talk about it. Why would we not talk about it? I mean, there's always stuff to talk about, but this one's interesting. There's a bipartisan federal legislation in works to ban TikTok. Scott Pringle reports.
Congressman Josh Gottheimer of New Jersey says TikTok is an information invasion against America's families and an enormous asset to the Chinese Communist Party.
They are building lengthy data files on millions of children across our country, learning and capitalizing on their every move online.
Legislation being crafted would give President Biden the authority to respond to threats posed by the social media company. The White House is ordering all federal agencies to wipe the app from government devices. TikTok says a nationwide ban will hurt free speech rights. Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
I mean, you have to think about it. It's smart what they're saying in regards of, oh no, don't ban it. You're turning around and destroying free speech by all of this stuff. I mean, it just makes it interesting on how TikTok is going about doing it. Anyways, when the temperature drops, the air becomes denser and can cause malfunctions in your car. Bree Tennis has more information.
Cold temperatures can cut your car's battery power in half, but it can also cause your tire sensors to malfunction. Mechanics.com says the batteries integrated into your TPMS sensors don't like the cold and can trigger an alert on your dashboard, even if your tire pressure is spot on. Experts say if the light goes off, it's best to check your tire pressure manually, but most likely it's just the cold. I'm Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
I think my TPS sensors don't work either when it gets cold or if I'm in the cold weather because I just don't like it. I guess that's because of living in good old Florida for such a long period of time. Anyways, the San Diego Police Department is holding a week-long series of public meetings to discuss bringing back streetlights equipped with cameras. Here's the latest by Phil.
The first public meeting held at the Otay Mesa Nestor Library near the border. SDPD wants 500 new smart street light and automated license plate recognition cameras to investigate and solve crimes. Captain Jeff Jordan told NBC times are changing.
There's general support, but also apprehension. I think if you're going to use technology, if you're going to use it as a force multiplier, you have to go out and talk to the community and tell them exactly what you're going to do.
The department collecting data and getting feedback from residents like Nancy Relaford. She isn't sure if this is an invasion of privacy.
If you have the police department being the ones to, search out the technologies, you're going to have this mission creep and you're going to have this area where you don't know what's being collected, where it's going.
I'm Phil Farrar.
Okay, thanks, Phil Farrar, for that. Anyways, it is 32 minutes past the top of the hour, so it does sound close enough to do that thing that we do around this time. I mean, why wouldn't we do it?
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So let's talk about it because it is time. It is time to talk about all the glorious things that we get to do around here. There is no doubt. So as you take a look around and you start thinking about some of the things that you want to change inside of your organization, what is some of the first things that come to mind? What are some of the first things that you go, this would be probably the most crucial thing for us to talk about? No, seriously, what comes to mind immediately? Because it seems like for years we've had this common theme. We've had this belief system where we can talk about this one thing in regards of your organization. And a lot of people want to talk about safety culture. And listen, we can sit here and argue for a moment if you want to, because why not? Who doesn't want to argue about, that whole term safety culture? And does it bring value? Does it not bring value? All that kind of fun stuff. But because should it be safety culture or should it just be culture? And you go, what? What do you mean culture? Because how are you going to have two different cultures inside of one organization? No, seriously. So think about that for a moment. So as we take a look around and talk about safety culture, what do you think that means? What do you look at and go, this is a really good way of actually doing things. So I want you to think about this. If I told you that there was a really good document that you could find about safety culture, would you be interested in actually taking a look at it? So there's this tech doc that's called Tech Doc 1329 that focuses primarily on technical aspects of radioactive contamination assessments, but it does briefly touch upon the concept of safety culture. Specifically, it emphasizes the importance of developing and maintaining strong safety culture within the organization that deal with radioactive materials. But let's take the radioactive material portion out of it. The document states that safety culture involves shared values, beliefs, attitudes, behaviors, and determines an organization's commitment to safety, health, and environmental protection. It does note that the positives of the safety culture that can help prevent accidents and incidents and minimize the risks of radioactive contamination and foster a safe and productive environment. The document does go as far as recommend the organizations getting involved with handling of radioactive materials and should prioritize the development of the strong safety culture. This includes ensuring that all employees receive appropriate training and education on safety issues, establishing clear policies and procedures for handling radioactive materials, and promoting a culture to open communication and continuous improvement. Overall, while the IAEA Tech Doc 1329 does not provide in-depth analysis of safety culture, it does acknowledge the importance and offers recommendations for promoting positive safety culture within organization dealing with radioactive material. Now, listen, I can sit here and talk about radioactive material, but let's look at it. You can actually put whatever you want there. Let's remove the radioactive material and let's start talking about whatever you would deem important, whatever you would deem that this is what our organization needs to focus on. And it is amazing to me the amount of people that reach out in regards of this particular information of safety culture, especially when I turn around and tell you that this document was written 21 years ago. Yes, that is a good big old 2-1 there as I say that. So if you were to take that information and run with it and go, this is how you would incorporate a safety culture inside of the organization, you already have the schematics for it. Now, listen, I'm going to tell you, I believe the document's about 98 pages long, so let's not lie. That is kind of lengthy, but if you can take this information and go, how can you apply this to a quote-unquote safety culture, this is the way to go about it. Is it going to change your life overnight? I don't know. And is it better just to have one culture within the organization? Of course, the answer is yes. But if you're looking for quote-unquote safety culture and how to affect it, this would be the document that I would tell you to go after. IAEA Tech Doc 1329. Take a look at it. It could possibly change the way that you do business overall. That's really scary when you start thinking about it.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You're listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Become your nightmare, slipping in your dreams. I'm the definition of the worst kind of me. Now I feel like a monster, and I'm just here to haunt you. I've become your nightmare, slipping in your dreams. I'm the definition of the worst kind of me. Now I feel like a monster.
Okay, here we are again, still hanging out here on the Rated R Safety Show, hour #1 of the Jay Allen in the Morning Show. Yeah, this little song right here, this one's called Monster by Willie Echo. Song's readily available on Apple Music, also available on Spotify and YouTube Music. I'd like to thank Willie Echo for allowing us to play this one here on the Rated R Safety Show. Always a good time being able to introduce new music as we are hanging out. Okay, so let's get back into the move and the groove of the things that we have going on this fantastic or terrific Tuesday as we are hanging out. It is currently 44 minutes past the top of the hour, so don't worry about that. Anyways, let me tell you about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They can help you prevent suicide. The Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention, and crisis resources for you and your loved ones, and best practices for professionals in the United States. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to 988lifeline.org. That's 988lifeline.org to find out more information. Or you can text the word TALK to 988 or call 988. That will get you moving and grooving in exactly what is going on. There is no doubt about that, as they can set anything up for you in regards if you are having any kind of struggles. Listen, we all need a little help sometime, so turn to my friends at 988 Suicide in Crisis Lifeline. That is for sure. Anyways, let's get into some other things that are going on inside of this worldo of ours, because listen, it is important to talk about some of the other things that are happening. So let's talk about this. A good time all the time. If you've ever been lucky enough to spend enough time on a cruise ship, when you know that it's a wonderful thought to live on one, well, think about it. No cooking, no chores, perfect weather usually, and much pampering as you can stand. Sounds good, doesn't it? But it also sounds expensive. But now a cruise company is offering the chance to embark on a 3-year escape from the daily, well, I guess, repetitiveness of your life. The 130,000 mile cruise is almost affordable at $30,000 a person per year. Life at the Sea Cruise is now taking bookings for a voyage from MV Gemini, which sets sail in Istanbul on November the 1st. For 3 years, you'll hit 375 ports around the world, visiting 135 countries and 7 continents. The ship will take its iconic site from Rio de Janeiro Christ to Redeemer Statue and the India's Taj Mahal, to Mexico's Chichen Itza and the pyramids in Giza. So there you go, and all the way to the Great Wall of China. There's also trips for 103 tropical islands and 208 ports, include overnight stays, giving you an extra time to enjoy the sights and to regain, land legs. And because of the nature of the voyage, the Gemini will also be outfitted with full-scale business centers with remote working facilities and free hospital. You might not get seasick, but you might get sick of the sea. So think about it in that way. And depending on your luck, COVID might come back. And if you're on the 4-year cruise, like it or not. So there you go. Some things to think about. Would you want to do this? I mean, $30,000 a year. So we're talking about a $90,000 cruise. I don't know. I mean, what do you think about it? Is it something that you would even give any kind of consideration to? A lot of stuff to think about. I mean, it would kind of change the dynamics of what is going on. So anyways, take a listen to this. California Governor Newsom is cutting ties with popular pharmacy. Bree Tennis has more info.
Walgreens says it won't dispense abortion pills by mail to 20 Republican-led states for fear of breaking the law. Governor Newsom says because of that decision, California will no longer do business with Walgreens. A spokesperson from his office says the governor will not pursue business with companies that put politics above the health of women and girls. Walgreens says they will continue to dispense medication consistent with federal and state laws. It's not clear if the governor is ending Walgreens in California or just not sending them state business. Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
I mean, I would imagine that he's just cutting state business. I mean, what else are you going to do? Anyways, take a listen to this. More Americans are heading to food banks because of the cut in food stamp benefits as inflation rises. Trey Thomas has more.
Julie Butner, CEO of a Fort Worth, Texas food bank, says the benefit cuts couldn't have come at a worse time.
Food is a leader in inflationary rates today, and so that's really impacting our families that rely on federal support.
Over 40 million Americans participate in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as SNAP. Families that rely on SNAP benefits could see their payments cut by $95 a month. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, thank you, Trey Thomas, for the information right there. Take a listen to this one. This one's coming out of Colorado. Colorado lawmakers are debating a bill that calls for a 3-day waiting period for firearm purchases. Chris Polinkin is one of the co-authors of the 2017 study and and has paused several times to justify the legislation during the long discussion.
There's a pretty strong association between having these waiting period policies and having lower rates of gun death, particularly gun homicides.
That study concluded by the mandatory waiting periods resolved a 7 to 11% reduction in suicides and a 17% in drop in homicides by guns. House Bill 231219 is the first of four major gun bills legislation is tackling, leading to many different opinions discussed for several hours of the effectiveness of the waiting periods. If passes the first committee test on Monday, Colorado would become the 10th state to enact a waiting period, and the bill makes it through the full legislation. One Colorado lawmaker speaks in support of the firearm purchase waiting period.
The decision to attempt suicide is impulsive. 70% of suicides happen within an hour of consideration.
So something to think about. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things that you have to look at it and go, does it make sense for what they're trying to do? It's going to be a matter of opinion, because that's exactly how those things work out when you start thinking about it. There is no doubt about that.
Rated R Safety Show. Sarcastic? Never.
Okay, 4 men are accused of stealing $500,000 from Ventura County Fairground, have been formally charged. Daniel Martindale has more info.
On Monday, the 4 suspects from Los Angeles County were charged with theft of public money, burglary, grand theft, and conspiracy. They all pleaded not guilty. They're accused of taking cash from the fair admission building last August. If convicted, the men are each facing up to 5 years and 4 months in prison. I'm Daniel Martindale.
Okay, thank you, Daniel Martindale, for the information right there of what is going on. Take a listen to this one. A man from Moon Park is behind bars on suspicion of having sexual relations with an underage co-worker. Take a listen.
He's also accused of supplying the girl with drugs, including methamphetamine. Investigators say they worked together at a restaurant in Thousand Oaks. The man is accused of recording some of his sexual activity with the girl and sending the video to the alleged victim. Police say the man and another girl he worked at the restaurant with also exchanged intimate body pictures. The man was arrested last Wednesday, but the case wasn't made public until Monday. I'm Daniel Martindale.
What the hell is going on out there inside of the world? Listen, underage, I don't even understand why that would even be something that you would even give any consideration to, but I guess I live in a different kind of world when it is all said and done.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Radio. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's bring some John Smalls inside of here and let him tell you about what the hell is going on with the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com.